I'm a bird, mother. I'm a bird.
Honey Badger versus Wolverine, deciding the impossible fight.
An Oreo-flavored bowl cut wearing assault on the food web, a scavenging super soldier steroid weasel, two animals infamous for durability blessed by the almighty, disregard of death as a concept, and being a part-time predatory hemorrhoid, an unstoppable force versus an immovable object, a fight as much philosophical as physical, and today we'll break down how these musclets match up until in the end, only one is left standing. Now disclaimer, I've actually done this video before, but after some additional research and some number crunching, my answers changed quite a bit, and after mulling it over, I actually feel pretty good about my pick. Another note I wanted to add is there are no definites in nature. What I mean is, if I say animal A would beat animal B in a fight, I don't mean animal A would run the table every time.
Okay, unpopular opinion, but I think Honey Badger can mess up anything he wants. Honey Badger don't care.
Wolverines don't care either.
Is it-
They literally have the same specs.
Is Wolverine an actual thing?
Yes.
I thought we were talking about Hugh Jackman.
No, Wolverine.
Oh. Wait, that's a thing?
Yes.
I thought we
No. No.
I thought we were talking about Hugh Jackman. Lifu Wolverine was called Wolverine because he was short and savage in the comics. Okay, but how was I supposed to know it's a thing? Okay, let's pretend I knew that Wolverine is real.
Editor, cut that out.
I'm the editor.
Well, you know what to do.
It's more like if A and B squared up 10 times, I'd expect animal A to hypothetically win at least 6. Any debate worth having wouldn't just be one contender steamrolling the other. That being said, let's meet the misfits. The Honey Badger's black Air Force energy emanating from an aggressive tube sock. At only about 20 to 30 pounds and a length of 22 to 30 inches, the glorified ferret is too small, too slow, and too solitary for a conventional way of life. In a world of fight or flight, the honeyhead's defining trait is not having wings, and monochrome crash outs are actually their best defense. But it's not just a bluff. The bane of bees has 1.5-inch claws, mostly for digging and breaking into hives, and jaws powerful enough to crack open a tortoise. They apparently use those jaws to castrate larger animals to bleed them to death. But if we
I did not know that.
Yo, honey badgers mess up your day.
So wait, he can crack the tortoise shell?
Yeah.
Whoa.
You
wanna
want to
be-
castrate them too to bleed them out.
What the hell?
He's a dick muncher.
God.
fair here, we do have to mention that the castration claim came from Kruger Park Ranger James Stevenson Hamilton in 1947 and hasn't been documented since. Either way, the real flex is that if cockroaches had breasts, they'd probably be honey badgers. They're that hard to kill. They famously have thick 6mm skin that can tank quills.
This picture.
Yeah. You know they're immune to poison? You'll just fall asleep for a bit and then wake back up.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm so amused by this.
Bites, bee stings, machetes, and most importantly, severe maulings from much larger predators. The rotel also has freakishly loose skin that makes it nearly impossible to pin down without it turning around and delivering punishment to the face.
Oh my god.
Additionally, they have a reversible anal pouch with a smell foul enough to gift angry bees the power of discernment, although I don't think it would affect a rampaging Wolverine. All in
He don't give an F.
Nope.
all, the honey badger punches way above its weight, and it needs to have a chance. The Wolverine is a travel-sized bear on bath salts and a different kind of cockroach, living on the very fringes of existence where most others could not. Wolverines weigh about 30 to 45 pounds and measure up at 28 to 42 inches.
Wait, 30 to 45 pounds. He's still pretty small.
And they also have the honey badger problem of not having the bulk of a bear, the parkour prowess of a puma, or the power of friendship like wolves. They do have jaws strong enough to crush bone and chew through frozen flesh, and 4-inch semi-retractable claws, mostly for climbing, but also for running non-retractable fades. Like the honey badger, they have thick loose skin, but also a coat to insulate them from the elements. They're also
That
the
makes
IRS
sense.
for animals way above their weight class, as they're on record shifting cougars, wolves,
What?
in some rare cases, even bears from meals. And again, like the honey
Okay, he does look like he's on crack, yes.
Yeah.
honey badger, they also weaponize their anal glands, enough to have the nickname skunk bear. Not something that should matter against a badger, but the fight would be an odious assault on and of every sense. The Wolverine's bigger frame means it has confirmed kills against animals up to 20 times its size, and there's even one case of a Wolverine allegedly putting a polar bear in past tense by latching its jaws around the bear's windpipe. But just like with the honey badger, there isn't really evidence of a rageaholic gym sock suffocating a polar bear with more than just smell, but then again,
Why is he prancing like that though? Is that how they walk? Okay.
people won't let facts get in the way of a good story. That's how some animals end up sounding way worse than they actually
That's a freaking dolphin, isn't it?
are, and how other animals don't get taken nearly seriously enough. Like the most dangerous animal in Yellowstone isn't a wolverine, a wolf, or even a bear, and a quick look at these articles and you'll see that a fluffy, bearded tank puts way more humans in hospital beds. But actually reading the articles will tell you that it's the people causing problems, and the bison are guilty of only protecting their personal space.
Yeah,
that's why it's
makes
important to have
sense.
both sides of a story before you start judging, and that's why I'm working with Ground News. Ground News is an app and website developed by a former NASA engineer who saw news outlets basically bias planting to boost engagement. And like I always say, if you think you're impervious to bias, then you're exactly who would be affected by it. But you can take the power back, because Ground News counters that by putting
Wait, Ancient saying dolphins are insane. Dolphins are gross.
Yeah.
all the world's headlines from across the political spectrum in one place so you can actually be fully informed. Bison bias aside, here you can see the attack was covered by over 120 sources, with 72% being relatively center and 21 and 6% left and right leaning respectively, basically a blind spot for the right. But both sides seem to agree if a mobile boulder turns you into a flapjack, you probably had it coming. What they don't agree on are what to make of the recent LA protests, and with Ground News, you can see that out of an overwhelming 750 plus sources, over 140 leaned left to the 100 plus rolling right. And with the comparison feature, you can see that the left criticized the escalation in Marine deployments and police involvement, while those leaning right are highlighting the volatility of the situation and the hopes that the deployments can quell it. With 85% of sources rated as highly factual, you can trust that what you're reading is accurate. Also, with the blind spot feature, you can read up on stories one side may have completely missed to really paint the full picture. If you're as chronically online as I am, you need Ground News at your disposal, and if you use my link,
Still a little iffy about these services.
Yeah, same.
It also comes down to what kind of quote unquote journalists are being hired that write these articles. Like, I don't know.
I got you 40% off the same $5 a month Vantage plan I'm using. Make sure you go to groundnews.com/casualgeo, click the link below, or scan the QR code on screen to subscribe to what the Nobel Peace Center called an excellent way to stay informed. But to see who would get unsubscribed from life first, it's imperative to see how they move in the world they live in. Because laying out all the tools they have to work with isn't as important as how they use them in the first place. Starting with the sand-seasoned rage-baiting ratel. Honey badgers have the second widest prey range of any mustelid, and most of what they find is by using their claws to dig them up. A study done in the Khalahadi Transfrontier Park found that most of what they eat are small mammals like mice and gerbils, and small reptiles like geckos and skinks. But honey badgers are also high metabolic maniacs that'll try highly venomous snakes such as puff adders and black mambas, and they'll steal larvae straight from the heart of homicidal beehives. They're so masochist coded that many believe that they're immune to venom when they're only resistant. There are cases of honey badgers being
they're resistant.
So you're pushing false narrative here, huh?
My bad, King.
Okay, Zen's new name is Game Journal.
Chris says, unfortunately, some of the bisons have to be put down due to potato heads, like that chick with her phone getting hurt or killed. Yep.
Oh, oh my god.
It's stupid being stupid.
It's stupid to be stupid?
It's stupid people being stupid. Sorry.
No, I'm gonna put that on my t-shirt. It's stupid being stupid. Zen is mad at me now.
Been trying to read that comment because it got AI restricted. You know what we're supposed to do? Trying to do what you put the ground rules.
Oh, so reading the comments, you would say is the backbone of the stream?
Sure.
I'm gonna shut up.
being excused from the mortal roll call while eating honey because they got stung to death in the process, and getting flatlined by snakes because they kept getting bit but refused to quit. Honey badgers seem to have a severe lack of self-preservation, but it makes sense when you live in a world where running away is physically not an option. But it also means they're crazy enough to try to meal tax a leopard right in front of it. And that's cause the honey badger is a forager on steroids that doesn't pass up opportunities to eat because they virtually can't afford to. Most predators rest and chill after a big kill, but
In the middle of a highway, just
The dude's just walking.
Okay, but can we talk about like this dude is like in the middle of a highway just chilling, airing out his balls.
Honey badger will stop only for as long as it takes to consume it before running off to find another. This mentality also helps his furry fitted sheet not fold in the face of predators, and constantly fighting back even inches from death means even if it can be killed, it often ends up being more effort than it's worth.
Again, it's like a freaking chihuahua.
That's Lifu.
Oh, how dare you!
In a desolate landscape like the Kalahari, an overachieving weasel scrounges a living in the area code of some of the most impressive and oppressive forces of predatory nature. Wolverines are survivalists on steroids that live in some of the most unlivable places on Earth. While bears hibernate through the dead of winter, the skunk bear is still outside in avalanche country. Those claws work as crampons to let the Hulk weasel cling to the side of a cliff, and having large paws means they can run across the same deep snow other animals would sink in. Those jaws are specifically designed to tear through flesh that's frozen solid, and a wolvie will eat every part of a carcass, right down to the teeth. They even have a molar that's been rotated 90 degrees for the main purpose of cutting through ice solid meats. Also, they are the second most disrespectful
So, evolution.
creature to inclines, with number 1 going to goats. Wolverines will use mountains like we use crosswalks. It's actually why they're so impossible to keep track of. A motivated Wolverine will easily trek through 40 miles of rough, virtually inaccessible terrain in a day, and in Glacier National, there was one case of a Wolverine scaling a 5,000-foot peak in an hour and a half. And that stubbornness applies to their diet, since Wolverines often have to scavenge under the noses of apex predators. But Wolverines can kill too, and in a study, 84% of the observed Wolverines' diets included reindeer, and 28% of those were actually wiped out by Wolverines.
Oh.
Damn.
So all you need to do for like the deer control in US is bring Wolverines.
They're pretty aggressive, ain't they? Not good for the human population here.
Okay, but later on the Wolverines are an issue for the next generation.
You're right, ship it. Ship the idea.
There might not be a
Are
worse
very
predator to
big.
have than a Wolverine, and it's because of how they hunt. Wolverines are the pioneers of one-person persistence hunting, and in one study, a Wolverine chased a caribou for a total of just under 40 miles in a hunt exceeding 6 hours. The animal with glutton for a Latin name will tailgate a mark until they eventually gas out. So whether it's a determined garbage disposal or a flagrantly reckless felony ferret, beating either would be a war of attrition. But the question
He's definitely creative with the names.
Oh, 100%. Also, the fact that the damn Wolverine track its prey,
For 6 hours.
that's Wolverine right there. That's the inspiration for Wolverine and Marvel.
Oh my god. I still cannot believe I thought Wolverine is just a character. Okay.
You can see the inspiration though, right?
No, listen. I thought Wolverine was based on like werewolves. You know how like werewolves, they're like wolf-like with the claws and stuff like that? So I thought he's based on a werewolf. I didn't think there's like an actual creature called Wolverine. Stop judging me.
I'm not judging you.
To be fair, Wolverine seem very similar to Wolf in terms of how you say it. Your issue. Nope, Logan was just short and angry AF, so they called him Wolverine.
question still remains. Can he fight though? Both these animals rely on intimidation and offensive defense, but how do they fare when that bluff gets called? With honey badgers, those claws probably wouldn't feel good across the face, but the real damage is in that bite. A honey badger's jaws are strong enough to pull the meat out of a carcass after other predators are done with it. They're actually built for conflict, because the badger's skull has a transverse mandibular condyle that locks into the jaw socket, creating a tight fit that secures the jaw and makes it incredibly difficult to dislodge or dislocate. That's how a honey badger maintains its dental grip on either prey or predators, no matter how hard they buck. The jaw strength is how honey badgers are documented murking goats and sheep, usually by tearing holes in their underside and disemboweling them. The honey badger will also use its nasty bite to factory reset snakes by immobilizing them with a bite to the back of the head. By essentially
He's munching on it like it's the most delicious hot dog.
It's a Slim Jim.
Oh my god.
shaking ops with their teeth and using
The freshest Slim Jim in existence.
claws for leverage, the honey badger has scored some impressive wins against raptors like
Look at
Marshall
him munching down.
and tawny eagles, and even the African porcupine. The same
Also, you could say his jaw was locked in. I need a new co-host.
Same one that's a lion's last resort. When honey badgers fight each other, injuries show that they go for the face, neck, and underbelly because they know that everything else is a waste of time. The honey badger is an absolute stonewall, but its size means it's realistically not killing prey bigger than a sheep. Not like the Wolverine. The Wolverine is a walking vice grip capable of crippling prey. They have the same tight seal jaw
He carrying a head.
No, it looks like a skunk.
mechanism that all mustelids do.
It's a head.
Oh, it's a head.
He's just prancing around with a head.
And they use it by climbing on top of prey and eviscerating the
You could say he's a head.
Ah,
I'm gonna shut up.
neck and shoulder area. One of their favorite strats is running up on prey trapped in deep snow and essentially turning their last moments into a rodeo. Wolverines have used this to single-handedly take down dolls, sheep, reindeer, mountain goats, elk, and even the biggest mark in the area. From 1967 to 2001 in Krasnoyarsk, Russia, there were 19 cases of Wolverines flatlining moose, and based on the bodies, they favored tearing at the legs, neck, and shoulder. Now to be fair, the Wolverines usually went after the young, the sick, or as mentioned, those swallowed by snowdrifts, but it's still a feral ferret the size of a mid-dog, taking the life of an animal 20 times its size. Against each other, they use their hook claws to grapple and try to land their trapped jaws around the face and throat. The Wolverine has a higher power rating than a honey badger, but the honey badger has that dog in him. Even in a dying effort, honey badgers have been known to throw hands
he
at a
looks so
lion for
goofy.
No.
I know he looks goofy, but he will rip your shit up.
hours. But there's another
He looks like there's not a single thought behind those eyes.
No.
aspect we gotta look at, and this might actually be what decides it. How they match up with predators is a big factor, since in this fight they're going up against another predator. And there's no shortage of threats to a honey badger's well-being. Lions, hyenas, leopards, wild dogs, crocodiles, baboons, and pythons are all liable to catch an African aggro skunk slipping. As much as their reputation precedes them, honey badger got quite a lot to give a shit about. Even though they can live for nearly 30 years in captivity, in the wild most won't make it past 7. Honey badgers aren't the indestructible black and white badger berserkers the internet says they are. They're actually very vulnerable to predators. And it seems that the honey badger's two biggest threats are leopards and hyenas. As funny as it is, mature lions typically avoid them, since beefing with a malice-operated weasel when you hunt buffalo for a living is a genuine waste of time. But leopards and hyenas are more curious, and since a foot-tall badger can't outrun a hyena gang or sidestep a leopard, they literally have no other option than to fight to buy itself extra
Okay, but we all saw this. The honey badger started this fight.
Yeah.
We all seen it.
time on Earth. But ultimately, honey badgers have no shot at crippling any
No, wait. It was defending its friend. It was another honey badger.
Oh, was it? Hold on.
And since a foot-tall badger can't outrun a hyena gang or sidestep a leopard, they literally have no other option
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, see, there's two.
Okay, based.
than to fight to buy itself extra time on Earth. But ultimately, honey badgers have no shot at crippling any predator bigger than a jackal, and it becomes a losing matchup when a predator decides it does have time. It's just that the honey badger's crackhead determination means it can survive situations they have no business walking away from. Wolverines don't face the sheer volume, but they still have a familiar feline build, one of the greatest pack hunters of all time, and one of the largest land predators on Earth to deal with.
Did he just freak out from the mirror?
Yes.
Is he a cat?
Build, one of the greatest pack hunters of all time, and one of the largest land predators on Earth to deal with. Like the honey badger, the Wolverine's durability has been blown up as time's gone on. They're actually really vulnerable against wolves. They'll square up and fight the good fight, but they're as brave as they need to be until there's a treat. In a study on the mortality of Wolverines in Sweden, over 40% died to a predator, likely a wolf, or another reen. Of course, we're still talking about a freaking Wolverine, and you gotta take a gigaferret capable of offing elk, lynxes, and on the right day, a moose. Seriously.
I like lynx. I petted
Here.
one once.
Scandinavians coming out.
I petted one once.
Did you?
They're so soft.
Wolverines are a legitimate risk to predators that can't afford to tank injuries, and this can lead to them getting bullied out of resources that may not have been worth it. Wolverines are one of the rarest mammals in America, and because they typically live in the inhospitable, we don't really know how these encounters typically go, but we know one thing for sure.
Damn.
Wolves, cougars, black bears, and brown bears can and have killed Wolverines. And no Wolverine has been recorded murking one of them, unless you believe the polar bear story. So now we have everything to decide who would win, but now we have to decide what winning is. Obviously, there's no question who wins in a fight to the death, but is it still a W if you can force a forfeit?
Wouldn't that be even?
It definitely would be, yeah, because they're in so different like environments that you can't really compare them.
Like,
If anything, they're like respectively their version of their place.
so like if I think about it logically, right? So the main thing that the Wolverine has on his side is the Bat Soul crack energy. But what
Yeah.
Honey Badger has on his side, that he don't give a shit, and that his jaw locks in. So, with the fact that he don't give a f, he can just lock into the neck, and that's it.
It might be a mutual destruction.
Maybe.
Fit first. In nature, a fight to the death is rare because the injury sustained would likely life deprive both sides anyway. As much as the drama of a drawn out cinematic duel to the death would sell, getting one side to turn tail is just as valuable a win. So here, a win would mean either straight up destroying the other or successfully intimidating them. Now let's finally set the scene for the fight. It's the middle of an unbearably long dry season when a Wolverine and a Honey Badger run into each other at a fresh deer kill. Neither's eaten in days and both may not eat for several more, and with these being two prime males, this fade might be fatal. Let's review what we got. The Honey Badger is arguably more durable, surviving maulings that would likely kill the Wolverine. Plus, the Honey Badger is liable to fight to the absolute death. But even in a fight going the distance, the biggest question remains: how does the Honey Badger basically beat a bigger version of itself? The Wolverine can survive one of the worst conditions of any predator, and the same jaws that can cripple a moose and allegedly a polar bear should be enough to crush the Honey Badger's skull. But the Honey Badger takes a lot to kill and will be squirming and giving it right back the whole time. For the Wolverine, the question is, if bigger predators struggle with it, how does the Wolverine expect to be any different? It's not easy, but the winner is the Wolverine. The Honey Badger's lipo-looking loose skin and attitude would make this a prolonged fight, but the Wolverine's jaws are capable of inflicting enough crush damage on the Badger, especially if it lands a blow to the head, which they normally go for. In a fight,
I thought Honey Badger do the same thing.
No, Honey Badgers bleed out the prey. The muncher.
Shut up.
By going the distance, the Wolverine would get beaten up, but the Honey Badger likely wouldn't be able to get a kill on the Wolverine. But the real winner here is the Wolverine's lack of risk aversion. Even though the Honey Badger is more kamikaze coded, Wolverines have been known to die trying to steal a kill in front of a bear. So the chances the Wolverine backs off are lower than the Wolverine offing the Badger or even the Honey Badger running first. Against a similar sized African civet, the nasty Honey Badger is able to pin it, but ultimately the civet's able to walk away. I can't see a Honey Badger submitting a much bigger Wolverine, but like I said, there
Did it actually just do that?
Yeah.
He made him purr like a kitten. He made him submit to him.
There are no definites in nature, and in a best of 10, I'd expect a Wolverine to force a submit or a retreat at least 6 times. It was close, but in a matchup like this,
What was that?
force a submit
Wait.
or a retreat at least 6 times. It was close, but in a matchup like this, only one can take the W. So it's only fitting that the Wolverine already has it. But that's gonna do it for this video. Drink water, hug your mother, touch grass, call your father. Let me know what other matchups you want to hear me talk about. And I'ma see y'all in the next one.
What? Oh,
Okay, that's pretty adorable. They hug.
that is
Or-
okay. Okay, this was such a good video, and I'm not just saying because I just found out about the existence of Wolverines, but it was a really good video. And no, I'm not stupid. I'm a little stupid.
Yeah, fly high, check it. Spread my wings high, reach the sky. Feathers in the wind, never asking why. I'm a bird, motherfucker, I'm a bird. Soaring high, yeah, that's the word. Flying free like you never heard.